Do you ever read something and then immediately the voice in your head goes off saying, that's going to take up a bit of your time? Oh, come on. Don't be modest. I'm not the only person that listens to the voices in my head, right? Right? Okay, not the point. So on Monday, with all of the conference realignment, I saw a post on Twitter that kind of got underneath my skin. For those of you that don't know, the Big Ten added in 4 teams, the ACC added in 3 teams, the Big 12 added in 4 teams, and the SEC added in 2 teams. And the post said, the Big Ten has the best crop of quarterbacks entering 2024. No, that's not true. And then I saw another post that said the Big 12 actually has the best crop of quarterbacks going into 2024. Closer, but still no cigar, because let's just be completely modest here and a little bit boastful. The SEC has the best crop of quarterbacks going into 2024. So let's go ahead and discuss. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification. That way you don't miss a single episode of SECU, because we're talking college football every single day leading up to week 1 and well throughout the chaotic 2024 season. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Make sure that also you're following us on the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. You want to hear my rambling nonsense on vocal form? Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson, or my own YouTube channel at Mr. Cole Thompson. And to keep up with the #1 content surrounding your favorite program, visit SECUnfiltered.com. This episode's brought to you by RHOBACK. Use promo code SECU for 20% off all joggers, polos, hoodies, shorts, and much, much more. Season's right around the corner. You want to be dressed to the 9 on game day? Make sure you visit RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU. So, seriously, we're really going to say that the SEC does not have the best crop of quarterback. And I'm not doubting that the Big 12 doesn't have talent. In fact, I am a lot higher on the Big 12 than most. I have been pretty accurate on this one before, and I've made my stance clear. America's conference is the Big 12 in terms of what you love about football, especially in the college level, resides in the Big 12. Everything is topsy-turvy. Everything is unique. Everything is dynamic. You see a lot of open competition. It is a fair, balanced game, which is why you love the Big 12. But that doesn't mean it's the best conference. It means it's the most intriguing conference. But when it comes to play, it's the SEC. And when it comes to quarterback play, it still is the SEC. I love Cam Rising. I love Shedeur Sanders. I love watching Avery Johnson film. I think that there's a lot of up-tempo production in lines for Jalen Daniels this year. I think that you could see a lot of production with Josh Hoover this year. Daquan Finn now at Baylor is going to be interesting. But the SEC reigns supreme. And I mean from top to bottom, it reigns supreme. You have your elites of elite, the front runners for the Heisman Trophy, the guys that you expect to be in the hunt for a college football playoff berth. That's Jalen Milroe from Alabama, who's going to be slinging it around the yard now in Kalen DeBoer's offense. And early results and how we spoke to with Jalen Milroe earlier this week, you're seeing an identity be formed. And if he's able to hit his stride the way that he was last year, Uncle Rico is going to have a second gear across the intermediate part of the field. And then you throw in his legs. Good luck trying to stop number 4 in space. Then you get Carson Beck. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Like, the man just would not die last year. You thought he was going to have a bad game. He had a bad drive in a game. That was it. You never saw a drop-off. And now he gets another season to work in Mike Bobo's system. On top of that, he's built a relationship with young up-and-coming receivers, improving guys like Dominic Lovett, Colby Young. You throw Dylan Bell into the mix. Of course, you have Oscar Delp. You're now adding in Ben Urasek. There's talent galore in Athens for him to be the king of the SEC. Jackson Dart has the exact same conversation going on in Oxford for the Ole Miss Rebels. This is a guy going into year 3 of an understanding in Lane Kiffin's offense. And on top of that, he's got a cast of characters that definitely would run rampant in the Big 10, Big 12, or ACC. Juice Wells, Trey Harris, Caden Priestcorn, Jordan Watkins. That is a 4-man horseman of the apocalypse that most teams in the SEC don't want to face off against. And now you're saying that that would not terrorize teams in any other division? Give me a break. On top of that, you got great arm strength, better accuracy from last season to this season. And you also are adding in a mobile aspect that might be a major reason why the Rebels are actually living up to expectations and punching their ticket to the playoffs. And then you throw in a guy like Brady Cook. Cook is actually a pretty damn good passer. Maybe not at the NFL level the way that we're talking about guys like Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, but that doesn't mean that he can't be qualified. Last season, season high in completion percentage, passing yards, touchdowns, passer rating, interceptions was an all-time low. He built a rapport with two of the best wide receivers in the SEC in Luther Burden and Theo Weiss. You tell me that you throw him into SMU's offense with Rhett Lashlee, that is not your favorite quarterback in the the ACC. All right, maybe it's 2 behind Cam Ward, but even still, you would say that that's probably right up there. And then you have a bunch of other guys that we don't know about, which is a good thing. Nico Iamaleava, he's getting to live up to the hype in Josh Heupel's offense. There are weapons galore. He's had an entire offseason to learn the ins and outs of the playbook. There is reason for optimism to say that Nico Iamaleava, the former number 1 overall recruit in the country, might eventually be the number 1 quarterback in the SEC. How about Garrett Nussmeier? He's had experience, little, but still experience, talking about what we're going to see moving forward in terms of him taking over for Brian Kelly. The highs have been high, the lows have been low, but now you're getting a full offseason with CJ Daniels, with Xavier Thomas, with Kyron Lacy, decent run game, arguably the best 1-2 tandem at offensive tackle in the country. That is a reason to believe that, yes, this team is going to be right back in line to punch their ticket to the postseason or at least 10 wins. How about Brock Vandagriff? Vandagriff, in an alternate reality, actually beats out Carson Beck, wins the starting job, and takes Georgia all the way to the same result as last season. And then there's another alternate universe where Carson Beck loses the starting job to Brock Vandagriff, and Vandagriff follows in the same pathway as Stetson Bennett and hoists up a national title. Now he's at Kentucky. Now he's got good weapons. He's got a good offensive identity underneath Bush Handum. On top of all of that, he's also got the ability to trust a ground game. And that arsenal that is at his disposal will match his rocket cannon of an arm to take flight. So there is a lot of optimism and speculation that Vandagriff and Kentucky are the breakout teams this year. And then you got guys who are just unknown in terms of, we don't know if they're going to ever hit their full potential, but they're still pretty decent. I mean, Diego Pavia last year beat Auburn in Auburn, and now he's at Vanderbilt. He doesn't have any weapons around him, but that doesn't mean he can't be qualified. That would probably be a top 6 passer in the Big 12, and it would certainly be a top 5 passer in the ACC. Then you throw in Graham Mertz, and I already compared him to mashed potatoes on the radio, so I might as well say it again. There's nothing wrong with that. It's sturdy, it's stable, it's a complimentary piece. You would not complain if mashed potatoes was the only side dish on the order. You would be very content with the Graham Mertz leading your roster. And the same thing goes for a style and Blake Shapen coming on over to Mississippi State. We know what his upside is. We know what his potential is when fully healthy. And now you're throwing him into Jeff Levy's not air raid offense, but very up-tempo, Josh Heupel, Lane Kiffin-esque, Art Briles type, mix it all together into a concoction formula and call it a day style of play in Starkville. He is a perfect fit for what they want to run down there. Doesn't mean that he's going to be elite. Doesn't mean his numbers are going to be number 1 in the SEC, but it does mean that he fits the criteria of what you're looking for. Lenore Sellers, who knows what the hell he is going to be for South Carolina. Then we go and throw in the last 2 names that just joined the conference in Quinn Ewers and Jackson Arnold. Whether or not people want to admit it, Dillon Gabriel left Norman, Oklahoma because Jackson Arnold arrived. They know what type of talent he can be. They know how special of a player he can be. They know what the consistency, the arm strength, the mobility, the high-profile throws, the platform-type movements, the ability to read a defense at the line of scrimmage, all are there from the kid from Denton Guyer. And now he gets to be the centerpiece of this team moving forward. He's good. It may take him a little bit of time. He may not be an overnight sensation that takes over the SEC, but he will be a qualified player. He will. Make no mistake about it. And then Quinn Ewers. Ewers last year, whether or not you think is going to be an elite NFL player, was an elite college football player. He was the sole reason why Texas was able to beat up on Oklahoma State in Arlington for a shot at their first Big 12 title since 2009. And they added in a ton of weapons around him. It's not as if he's going in barren to the SEC. If he was doing so, he just would have gone to the NFL and said, see you later, I went out on top. But no, Silas Bolden's there. Isaiah Bond is there. You also could throw in Amari Nyblack. You have Jonte Let Him Cook. You have a ton of talent at wide receiver. And Ryan Wingo is sitting in the wings like, when am I going to get playing time? Slow down, young Padawan. I promise you, you and Arch Manning will be making headlines in 2025. The bottom line is that when you look at the ACC, there's good quarterbacks there. Cade Klubnik. You throw in Grayson McCall now at NC State. Cam Ward. I don't think you can sleep on DJU now in Mike Norvell's offense. You look at the Big Ten. There's decent quarterbacks there. Aiden Childs comes from Oregon State with Jonathan Smith. He's going to be a talented player. I like what you have in terms of not Kyle McCord, my apologies. Will Howard now taking over with Chip Kelly. I like what you have in Mason Miller. There's a very good shot that he eventually finds his way into the Heisman Trophy race because death, taxes, QB1 underneath Lincoln Riley. I like what I've seen at times from Will Rogers now working in Jed Fish's offense. And the Big 12 has talent. But what are we doing, people? Whether or not it is biasy, whether or not it is being productive, whether or not it is being a little bit presumptuous, we all know that the SEC reigns supreme because they have talent galore. At wide receiver, at running back, at offensive line, at defensive line, and certainly at quarterback. You will not find better gunslinger mentality than down in the South. And I promise you this, at least one, if not all three of the gunslingers that find their way to New York City will come from the conference, which just means more. But let me know in the comments section down below, does the SEC have the number one quarterback room in all of college football? 1 through 16, do they all find their home? Also, make sure to let me know what do you want to see next on the channel. Also, make sure that you download the podcast version of the show. If you like this type of content, leave a 5-star review. If you hate this type of content, leave a 1-star review. And to make sure that you're keeping up with everything that we're talking about here on SEC Unfiltered, visit SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, I'm Cole Thompson, folks. Later.